welcome to Conversations with Belle, where we discuss real life issues in a meaningful way. I'm so sorry we had technical difficulties earlier, but we are our guest this evening is Shae Primus. She is the owner of Upper Echelon Matchmaking, and she is also one of the stars of Love Match Atlanta, which aired on Bravo. Welcome, Shae.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Um, is there going to be a season two?
Well, I was told to prepare to film by the fall, so
Okay,
I guess
okay.
y'all have to stay tuned.
Okay, okay. So what was that whole experience like for you?
I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I loved every moment because you're not acting. It's really just like camera coming in on your regular life, just filming what you already do, filming your
Yeah.
interactions with your family, with your friends. Um, my interactions with my clients were all real. Nothing was fake. Nothing was scripted. So it's
Mhm.
fun. It's just like, oh, y'all get to see what happens for real.
Did it feel intrusive at all?
No, but it's probably because of my personality. Like,
Okay.
I have such an interruptible person. Like, anybody could just come over right now and start a conversation with me. So I don't really have like oh, I need privacy. I don't have that kind of personality. So for me,
Okay.
it did not feel intrusive. I loved every moment of it. Sometimes I find myself looking for the cameras now. As things happen, I'm like,
Really?
do y'all see this going on? Yes.
Yeah, see, that's so the opposite of my personality. I'm very private. So even being in front of the camera, even
Okay.
though I've been doing push for 10 years or however long it's been, 11 years, I'm very much stingy, with my personal life, and I need that. So when I watched you, and I did watch, I was thinking like, could
Okay.
I do that? And I couldn't.
You don't think so?
Not at
Um,
all. Not at all. I'm
uh,
too private. I'm too private. And I
I'm
would be the
actually,
person with the attitude in front of the camera, like,
uh,
you know, get away, get away. So I don't have the
actually
personality for it, I
not
don't
private
think.
at all.
No.
I'm one of those people that's
Yeah.
not private at all. I think
Okay.
initially overshare. I can I can tell all about my life. I do not care. You're welcome to come and see. I don't care. So for
Mhm.
me, it was growth, and I enjoyed every moment of it.
I enjoy the show. So tell us a little bit about upper echelon matchmaking. Like, what is it? Where did the idea come from? I know you've been doing it upwards of 10 years. Like, tell us about it.
So on the show, my business is middle class matchmaking,
Hmm.
and right after the show, I went to Rick Ross's Boss Up conference, and he
Hmm.
offered me $1 million to match him. And of course, I can't match Rick Ross under middle class matchmaker. So
Yeah.
I had to revamp my whole business and elevate my business so that I could attract people like Rick Ross, but also just people who are very successful and who are also looking for love at their level.
Mhm.
So Upper Echelon caters to everyone, I would say, but specifically for people who are very successful and are looking for someone who's at par with them. Um,
Mhm.
so it has allowed me to elevate myself, elevate my game, what I offer my clients. But yeah, so upper echelon matchmaking is it's upscale, it's luxe,
Yeah.
it's and my clients expect that, and I have to give them that.
Okay. So middle class matchmaking is still a thing, and this is just upper echelon is the luxury arm of the business, or has middle class matchmaking gone away completely?
Middle class matchmaker is dissolved, and I believe everyone can be upper echelon. So
Okay.
regardless of your class, I think that I cater to middle class people as
Hmm.
well as people who are beyond middle class, but all of that's
Okay.
under upper echelon.
Okay. What's the age range of your clientele?
Typically 30s, early 30s to mid 50s, but I don't put like a cap on it. I actually got an opportunity to match a woman in her 80s not too long ago. Very successful celebrity woman in her 80s wanted love, and I was able to scout for her. So I don't have a cap on who I match. Anyone who's looking for love and can afford upper echelon, you can hire me.
So what are the men who come to you looking for? I'm sure the ladies would like to know, what are the men saying that they're looking for when they come to upper echelon?
So upper echelon men, these are high value men, as we like to say it now. These men are top tier, and they're looking for women who are at par with them. Women, they typically tell me they want them fit. They want them to, take care of their health. That's usually a priority.
Mhm.
And they typically want women who are not looking to be taken care of. Women who aren't looking for, you to pay all their bills and buy them a purse. They have that and they're just looking for a partner to build an empire with.
Okay. Okay. And what about the women that come to you? What are they looking for?
I would say women, my women are typically like, look, Shay, I don't want nobody to have to take care of. I don't want nobody who I got to pay his bills. Like, he need to have his stuff together, be able to take care of himself without me.
Mhm.
Travel when I travel, afford the things I like to afford. And they're not, some of my clients are millionaires, so don't get me wrong, they're not looking for you to actually be a millionaire as well, but you should be someone who is confident and not intimidated by her success, not trying to demean her or tear her down because of her success,
Mhm.
because that happens, let's be honest.
Yeah.
um Someone who's comfortable and confident dating a successful woman. Because let me tell you, it's a whole different ball game. We can all date somebody, a man who makes more than us, but a woman who has her stuff together, that's a whole different ball game. Because she doesn't
Mm.
need you financially at all. She has houses, cars, she takes trips. She buys whatever she wants when she wants. She wants you in her life. And that's a whole different
Yeah.
dynamic. That's a whole different shift that sometimes men aren't comfortable, being in a position where you're not necessarily needed, but you're wanted. Because sometimes I think men like to be needed, and so in those situations, they can find that to be challenging.
What's the challenge though? Like, I think a lot of successful women who are, put themselves on, so to speak, think their line of thinking is, okay, this shows that I am able to help him, in the event that he needs it. I'm the woman who can hold it down. If if things fall apart on his end, I'm an asset, I'm not a liability, I'm not taking, I'm trying to add to. So in your experience, are you saying that men don't necessarily view it the same way that those women who are go-getters, very successful, might be viewing it? Are
Yeah,
they
I
are
think.
a woman
Yeah,
are they
I
thinking
think
a
it's a
woman that's
delicate
very
balance.
successful?
Yes, I think it's a delicate balance because some of that go getting is masculine energy, right?
Yeah,
It's aggression, it's
that I
assertion,
agree. Yeah.
it's that. So it's being able, not watering yourself down because you're a whole
Mhm.
boss and nobody's taking that from you,
Yeah.
but being able to find the areas and why you need him. For example, I'm in the process of moving. Of course,
Mhm.
I got a house that I can afford. Of course,
Mhm.
I'm not asking my man to contribute in that way. But what I do ask him to contribute is here. Hey, I'm going to get an alarm system. Can you come by and help me, show me where you think the camera should go? Hey, I'm trying to pack up my house. What's the best way to do it? And he came over and helped me pack. So find places where
Mhm.
you could need him, where you could lean on his expertise, where you could rely on his strength in those areas. Because it's not that I don't need you for anything, right? I might have all these
Right.
bases covered, but find places where you could need him. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah. You brought out a really good point about the masculine energy, and that type of woman typically will display, like, it's fine in the workforce. You're out there
Absolutely.
slaying dragons and closing deals and doing all the things, but when you're at home, we need to do a better job. And I know some women are going to be like, but we really need to do a better job turning that off, or at least dialing it back. Um,
Balancing.
Once we're in a relationship, once we're at home, because if you wanted a man he'd be with one, right? So the softness and the femininity that we bring to the table, to the atmosphere, to the room, to the relationship, I think a lot of women, myself included, um, could work on softening ourselves up to make ourselves more attractive, to men in general.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
And that is, I agree. And I think that unfortunately that hasn't necessarily been modeled for us. When you
Mhm.
think about our mothers, grandmothers, I don't know that it's always been modeled. So here you are, you're educated, you're successful.
Mhm.
You, like you said, you going toe to toe with dudes at corporate and offices every day, slaying dragons every
Yeah.
day. And you got to get home and you got this man that you want. You desire him.
Yeah.
You happy to have him. And you have to figure out, how do I show him that I'm happy to have him, that I'm grateful for him, that I honor him, that I
Mhm.
consider it an honor to be with him without it crushing my ego and taking away from me and my successes and my achievements. But at the same time, understanding that's a need for a man to have his ego
Yeah.
stroke. It's a need for him. And so if it's a need for him, you got to give it to him. How do
Yeah.
you do that without demeaning yourself, without taking away
Mhm.
from yourself, right?
Mhm.
And I think
Yeah.
that's the delicate balance that we have to have. And unfortunately, it hasn't been modeled for us. We don't have a lot of examples of it, unfortunately. And that is something I coach with dating coaching, because a
Mhm.
lot of my women are like, look, I ain't doing I ain't kissing his butt. I'm not doing all that. And it's like, well, do you want a man? Because you gonna have we have this and we hate this word. This is a dirty word. I'm gonna say it anyway. Submissive. We hate that. We hate being submissive. We hate being soft. But that's what they want. They're not gonna be attracted to somebody else hard. They're not gonna be. They want you to be soft and they want you to submit to somebody worth submitting to. Right?
Right. I was about to say, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not submitting to everybody, but to somebody worth submitting to, you can take that cape off, right? And you can
Yeah.
just say, I can just relax in my femininity.
I think it's it, there's layers to all of that, right? So a
Mhm.
lot of men grew up in households without a man there. So they've only seen mama, grandmama, big mama doing everything, running the show. And so in some instances, certain men have the expectation that that's what a woman is supposed to do. She's supposed to burn the candle, at both ends. And so you don't really get to rest in that kind of relationship. That kind of guy, I think, needs a little more work and a little more exposure to feminine women so that he can create an environment where a woman would feel comfortable to not have to handle it all, right? Because if you have that kind of passive man, then you're going to overcorrect, right? And that's going to cause you
Yeah.
to get into your masculine energy. And so there's this feminine man and this masculine woman. And sometimes that works.
Yeah.
But if that's not the dynamic that you want in your relationships, I think you need to figure out a way to put the cape down when you get home, and
Absolutely.
and and you both need to be patient with each other and have the conversations. um he needs to be patient with her, right? Because a lot of women who may slide into that masculine energy, they honestly don't even know they're doing it. And so
You
if
don't.
he's not even willing to have the conversation to say, "Hey, this I'm noticing this." And she may be like, "Oh my God, I didn't even realize I was doing that." You know, let me work on that. Can you help me work through that so that we can have the kind of
Yeah.
relationship that we both want instead of just
Yeah.
saying, black women are masculine. But and some are,
No,
but
I mean,
but some really they don't realize they're even doing it, and that's not even what they wanna do, they're only doing it because that's the only thing that they've ever seen modeled, you know? And so I
yeah,
just
no,
think we're
I think
missing
that's
each
so
other.
true.
Mhm. I think
I
we're
think that's
missing
so
each
true. And I
other
think,
there.
yep, absolutely. I dated someone for a while that was totally comfortable in letting me pay all the bills and making all the
Mm.
decisions. And he was just there. And I knew I did not want to date a person like that anymore. And
Yeah.
that's what made me tap into my feminine energy because I've been a boss for a long time, but I don't want that. I want somebody to appreciate what I bring to the table, but not take
Yeah.
advantage of it. I had a taker, I had a user, and I didn't want
Hmm.
that. So I made a conscious decision. I don't want to attract somebody like this. I want somebody strong in their masculine energy. So the man that I've attracted into my life at this point, he keeps me in my feminine. And the way he keeps me in my feminine is he plans all the dates, he pays for all the dates, he picks me up for the dates. He does things that keep me in my feminine at all times. And honestly, I love it here. I love it here. I don't even have to think. We go somewhere. I don't even have to think. Where do we park? I don't know. He got my passport. He got the luggage. He got everything. He plans everything, trips, everything, and I love it here. And
Yeah.
I realized that it has nothing to do with income. It has nothing to do with how much you make. None of that is irrelevant. It's all irrelevant. It's about the energy. And in our
Hmm.
relationship, I am the receiver. Period.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter. And I create spaces where he comes in and he leads. He comes in and he makes a plan, and that's what we gonna do. No questions asked. And I love it here, Belle. I love it. It's so relaxing. It's so refreshing to just be and to be appreciated for the woman that I am. Because sometimes
Hmm.
when we on the ground, we forget that we're soft. We forget that we're
Hmm.
women and we're feminine. And what does that mean? And so, and in our workplaces, especially if you own a business or you're
Yeah.
top of the food chain at work, you forget that you're soft and you're supposed to be this receiver. And so, like I said, I love it here. And I really tell my clients, if that's what you want, you have to be willing to make
Hmm.
a change. You know what I mean? Because we could say
Hmm.
we want that, but I ain't gonna do this and I ain't gonna do that and I ain't gonna do this. Well, then you're not ready, right? When you really say, I
Yeah.
don't want this anymore, I'm tired of this life, I want this one, then you're gonna make a shift and you're gonna change.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing too, though, with that, because it's again, there's layers to it. You have to make sure that you've selected a man who creates an environment where it's safe for you to be submissive in. Like, so I
Safe.
think a lot of times women, we do this hoping and a wishing. So I'm going to be feminine, 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 soft, 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 submit, submit, submit. But he's not worthy of any of those things. Like, he's not
No,
honest.
no,
He's
no.
not consistent. He's not, planning dates. He's not doing all of the things, but you're giving him, you're, for all intents and purposes, casting your pearls before swine, because this man doesn't appreciate
Yeah.
you or that. And so you stay in that situation, you get used up, you get hurt, you get disappointed, and then you become bitter. And then it becomes a
Yeah.
thing of all men are that way, when no, it's not all men, it
Nope.
was that man. And so I think women need to do a better job of course, when you go into a new situation, you want to go, with your heart open to a degree. You want to be open to love, you want to be vulnerable, you want to communicate. But once you realize that who you're involved with is not someone who's safe, who's not a giver, who's not gonna, it's not gonna be a reciprocal kind of relationship, you need to exit. You
Absolutely.
need to
Absolutely.
exit with your things so he doesn't take all of your stuff and and so I think where women mess up is we stay and we try to thug it out and be the ride or
Yeah.
die and raise him for all intents and
Yeah.
purposes, and you
Yeah.
cannot. And so
You cannot. You will
um
be depleted in that situation. He will take
exactly.
from
And
you
then he
till you
moves
have nothing
on to
left.
suck the energy out of
Yep.
another
Yep.
woman
Yep.
and then to another,
Yep. Yep.
it's a cycle. So
Yep.
you just have to be really honest about what you have. And it's okay if you made a
Absolutely.
wrong turn. If you find yourself in a situation where, okay, I thought perhaps this person was someone that I can invest in, but he is not. So I now need to remove myself and all my femininity and all my good energy and softness and sweetness and save that for the man who is deserving. And there are men out there who are deserving.
So many men.
Right.
And I think,
Yeah.
and I want to say that with the type of men that you're looking for, I think this is what we have to get wrapped around our heads too. Sometimes women come to me with the salary amount. I want a man
Hmm.
that makes this amount. Now, let me say this now, because now that I'm working with these millionaire men, that's a whole different ball game. Let me say that
Hmm.
because a millionaire man can afford to take care of you, her, me, her, fly around to each of us in a week, see all of us this whole week. You wouldn't even know it. Send us all flowers, send us
Yeah.
all gifts, send us all. So really, is that what you want? I think I have to explain that to people. Like this is a whole different ball game, right? These men have a whole, not to generalize, but a lot of them have a sense of entitlement because they
Hmm.
are very successful. They know they're the top 1%, right? They know that they're in demand, and so they act as such, right?
Hmm.
I personally like a little humility. I don't want all that. Me
Hmm.
personally, I want somebody who's grateful to have me, just like I'm grateful
Hmm.
to have him. And I personally do not want that. And
Yeah.
so you have to decide which is most important to you. Do you want this status? Do you want money? Or do you want to be loved? You want to be respected? You want to be treated like a lady? Like, you got to decide what is important to you. And I
Right.
I think that we can have unrealistic expectations sometimes where we think
Hmm.
we can just have it all. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
this doesn't come with that type of person. This comes with this type of person. And that's
Yeah.
just the way it is sometimes. I'm just being
Hmm.
honest.
Yeah. And then the other thing that women forget is men who are in that top 1%, especially if they look a certain way, right?
Girls, yes, that's a
Their
whole different.
options are infinite. So do you, and I know that there are women who fit that criteria. I get it. But if you're an average woman, you know, maybe you're an average woman but you're an extraordinary personality. That's what I like to say about myself. But when you talk about that man in that top 1%, you're competing against women who are younger, who
All of them,
have no
all of them.
children, who bodies are like, whether it's bought or they
Perfect,
work for, I don't know, it doesn't matter.
perfect.
But
Yes,
there's a whole lot of competition out there for those men. And so I think
absolutely.
women, particularly, I want to talk about our community. We overlook the average guy. You know what I
We
mean?
do,
And
we
I just feel like
do.
there are a lot of good guys
There's
who they
so many
might not
good
be
men.
6 feet.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And so if he's not 6 feet, can you do 5'10"? Like, does he have
Listen,
to be 6 feet with the
listen.
six
That
pack
is
and the
one.
six figures?
That is one of the most unrealistic expectations we
Mhm.
have. This 6 feet tall. I don't know where that came from, but the average woman, the average man is 5'9". Girl, get your man and go sit down. Like, for real. Like, let's just cut the chase,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Him needing figure. Um, I think you just need to evaluate. I'm not saying you just settle. I'm not, a lot of times women look at me and say I'm saying settle. What I'm saying is, what's important to you and prioritize it. Because if you want this, you're gonna need to be willing to accept this. Like, you have to understand those
Yeah.
things, right? If you want him to be committed to you, faithful to you, honest,
Mhm.
loyal, you might need to be looking at those men that might not be tens, and whatever that
Yeah.
means for you. Because if I'm a ooh wee, every time I'm walking down the street, somebody's trying to holler at me. If I'm fine as
Yeah.
hell, everybody's trying to holler at me every second. I can't go nowhere without people looking at me. You might want to get you, he can be an average guy, that's loving to you and committed and faithful and love you like a queen. Like, what's wrong with that? I don't know why.
Nothing.
Why is that settling these days? Why is that considered settling? I don't think of it as settling personally. But that's one of the things, conversations I have to have with women, because we think we need our man to look like Shamar Moore. Shamar Moore can't walk outside without being harassed by women. Is that what you want? I mean, you just got to
Yeah.
be honest with yourself.
I mean, it's aspirational, and I'm not mad at, hoping and wishing, but then at some point you have to be realistic about what pool you're actually in. And I think that a lot of people have bought into, no shade to reality TV and music industry and the things they saw in videos, and started thinking, well, I want that too, but it's
Can you
probably
pull
not going to
that?
happen, sis.
And can you
So,
pull that? Because we have this unrealistic expectation that, well, I should have somebody that looks like Denzel Washington. Can you pull Denzel Washington? Probably not.
right.
Like, let's just be realistic about what you can pull, what's
Yeah.
attracted to you. What I tell people is, if you don't get hollered at the mall, at the gas station, at Walmart, I can't make them holler at you. There's nothing I
Mhm.
can do to make them holler at you. So
Yeah.
you need to adjust your expectations.
Mhm. Yeah. You're right. Adjust the expectations. And I mean, the realistically, Joe Blow, who works at the post office, you have to worry about them cheating as well. So it's it's not the number of zeros in his bank account. It's about the character of the man.
It's
And
the
so I would
character.
much rather meet a regular man, quote unquote regular man, who had high character, high
Yep.
morals, high character, integrity. He says he does what he says he's going to do. He's consistent. I would much rather have that man than
Me
the
too.
man that every woman is lusting after, or who has the fancy
Me
car
too.
or the private jet.
Me too.
Like you know, that's just me. But I think
No,
we
me
we worry
too.
about the
I
wrong
really, let me
things.
tell you, Belle, the number one thing on my list was I wanted somebody to love me and my child. As you know,
Hmm.
I have a little 5-year-old, and
Hmm.
that's all I wanted. I want somebody to love me and my child.
Yeah.
And because that's my number one, I honestly feel like, if I'm being transparent, like God said, that's all you ask for, Shay.
Hmm.
I'm gonna give you that plus. That's
Hmm.
how I honestly feel. Because I didn't
Hmm.
have a laundry list. As God is my
Yeah.
witness, I didn't care what he looked like, girl. If he had been 5'2", you would see me walking around with this man who's 5'2", who loved me and my child, and I wouldn't care what you had to say about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't care if he was purple. I didn't care if he was 500 pounds. I didn't care about none of that. I didn't even care if he had little pee wee.
Oh
I
Lord.
didn't care. Bill, I'm being honest. I honestly, my heart's desire was,
Yeah.
I want somebody to love me and my daughters. That's my
Hmm.
number one thing. Because I knew if he came to the table with loving me and my daughter, we can go. I can do all
Yeah.
the other things. I knew that was the most important thing to me. But I really feel like God blessed me with,
Hmm.
I tell him all the time, I don't feel like I'm settling in any capacity with
Hmm.
you. Not in any capacity. And all I
Yeah.
wanted was somebody to love me and my daughter. And he does. And
Hmm.
more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think if we dial it back, dial it back and really get pure about what it is we really need at the end of the day. If it happened for me, it can happen for other people. God will
Yeah.
bless you the same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we come to the table with these laundry lists of things that is so unrealistic. I mean, I'm telling you, you would laugh at some of the things I have that people send me, and they're like, "You got to have a baseball bill, not a basketball bill, and I can't do crooked teeth, and I can't do." It's so ridiculous. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah. Well, what I've learned is my list wasn't specific enough. So I have a long list, but none of it's the superficial stuff. None of it's related
Okay.
to he has to look this way, his body has to be like this, his complex none of that matters. It is all internal stuff. And so that's from me being with my thing is character. Like if he has good character, I can work with everything else. Obviously I need to be attracted to you, right? I have to be attracted to you. I don't care if anyone else is attracted to you, but I need to be attracted to you. And if he has good character. And by that I mean doing what you say you're going to do, being
Yeah.
consistent, pursuing me, you know, being honest, being kind, those things really, really matter. And as I move through these dating streets and meet people and they don't have these things, I'm like, oh no, I have to have that in whoever I'm with. He has to be kind. He has to, be a man of his word. He has to be able to communicate without feeling defensive. He has to, have a heart for me. And, my sons are young men now, but, want to step into that role as a role model. Some men feel like I don't want to deal with that. And that's cool, but my sons deserve that. So, um, there are things that I've noticed along the way where I'm like, he doesn't have that, but that's something that I must have with whomever I'm with, And for me, the number one thing is character. And
Absolutely.
as I'm
It's huge.
sifting through, there are so many men that lack character, and it's just like that. That's a non-negotiable for me. It
Yeah,
is a non-negotiable,
I
and
agree.
so
I totally agree.
so when your clients are being unrealistic, what's that conversation like when you're trying to help them become realistic again? Do you get
It's
pushback? Is it
absolutely. I mean, I attract some boss babes. You gotta think these
yeah,
women are dropping 10 and 20,000 for me to match them. So
yeah,
they coming at me with attitude. When I'm at this point, when I'm working through their unrealistic expectations, a
yeah.
lot of them are like, "Look, I'm paying for this. I want." I'm like, "Yeah, and your expectations are unrealistic, and we need to
Mhm.
massage them so that I can be successful matching you." And we go toe to
Yeah,
toe. We go toe to
yeah,
toe on it because at the end of the day, I believe I believe what I'm doing is God's work. If I could be honest with you,
yeah.
I really believe this is. I ask Spirit to guide me. I ask Spirit
Mhm,
to show me who your mate is, and I'm not gonna go to Spirit with some superficial list. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna
mhm,
go to Spirit with he got to be this complexion and he got to have
mm.
curly hair and he's got to have washboard abs. I'm not gonna do it because guess what? Spirit responds to, like you said,
Mhm,
integrity,
mhm,
honesty. If I say, give me a man who's family oriented, give me a
mhm,
man who loves children,
mhm,
who will plan activities for her and her
mhm.
child. I can get that all day from Spirit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest. But when I come at him with all these comments, come to Spirit with these superficial things, I don't even feel right doing it, and I'm
yeah,
not gonna do it. So we're gonna need to get on the same page. Is what I
yeah.
tell them, and they're like, "Well, Shay, if I'm not attracted to him, then you need to change what you're attracted to, because maybe
Mhm.
what you're attracted to is not correct. Maybe you need
Yeah.
to, maybe because the thing is, we're asking for something, and it's like,
Mhm.
is that person that you're looking for attracted to you? Are
Right.
they attracted to you? That's what you need to understand, because sometimes your type is not attracted to you.
Yeah.
You want this certain person, this mythological creature that would never look at you in a million years.
Mhm.
And if you walk past him right now, he would never turn and look at you. I can't make him look at you. If I
Right.
go to him as a matchmaker and I present your picture, and he gonna look at me and go, "Now, you know, I'm not gonna talk to her," and that's the
Mhm.
end of the conversation.
Yeah.
So is your type attracted to you? So that's something that we have to massage. That's something that we have to be on the same page about. And honestly, I pray about it, and I pray that
Yeah.
Spirit would soften their heart, and I pray that that, and usually it works, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
going to Spirit on your behalf, so usually it works, and they'll come back and be like, "All right, I've tried it my way. I'm willing to do it. Let's try it your way," and
Yeah.
we get results. It's usually never. I will tell you that when I make matches, it's people they would never probably talk to. They would never look at this person in a million years, but they're like, "Oh my God, this is the one. How did you know?" That's
Yeah.
exactly the response I get.
Yeah. That internal when a man has that internal stuff together, it makes them so much more attractive. It makes anybody that much more attractive when their heart is good, when their intentions towards you are pure. When I mean that just elevates the level of attractiveness for me when you
Absolutely.
can tell they have a good heart. It's like, oh my God.
Absolutely. I agree. It makes them delicious.
It does. It makes you want to do everything in your power, to make them happy when they have a good heart
You
like
will
that.
do it. You will
Yeah.
give them the world because you
Yeah.
know that their heart, when their heart rests in God, listen,
Yeah.
Belle, Ain't nothing that man can ask for that you're not gonna do. And that's what you
Yeah.
want. You want. I saw something where Michelle Obama was talking, and she said it's important to find somebody you respect, because
Mm-hmm.
there are gonna be times when you don't like him. There are gonna be times when you like, oh, I can't stand you. But if you
Yeah.
can respect that person, at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, y'all can get through it. When you lose respect for your man, when you lose respect for your woman, all bets are off. All
Yeah.
bets are off. I don't even respect you anymore. Yeah. You don't want that. You want to make sure you respect that person at the end of the day.
There's so much work you have to do at the beginning too, because you need to find out, because I bumped into some people who didn't love themselves. So, and I'm figuring this out as we're going on. I'm like, he doesn't even love himself. So how in the world is he going to be able to love me? He cannot, right? He doesn't even like himself. So how is he going to like me? He cannot, And so we have to do some investigation. They say dating is for gathering data, and we really have to pay attention to how that person treats themselves, because how they treat themselves is how they're going to treat you. And
Absolutely.
I've run into quite a few people
Mm.
who has some stuff going on, and as you're going,
Oh
you're like,
yeah.
man, I didn't see this initially, but as time goes on, you're like, wow, he doesn't love himself. He doesn't trust himself.
That is
He
so
doesn't
true.
respect himself. He doesn't,
One of
he's
the
not going to be
things,
able to be any of those things for me because he has a poor self-image, like he doesn't think highly of himself. And so we got to pay attention to that kind of stuff, because there's no amount of loving I could do, or talking to or praying for that I could do to get, you know, someone to love themselves better, to think more highly of themselves. There's nothing I could do. And so in
yeah,
those instances, we have to learn how to exit, let
yeah,
them do
you
their
have
own
to.
self-work. And I think that's where we get jammed up is, you're, as a woman, you're a nurturer, and you're like, oh, but if he could just see how I see him, and used and abused.
And I've been there, done that,
Used and
and I
abused.
agree with you. After having, I'm a healer, so I
Hmm.
do attract people who are broken, right? And they
Hmm.
want healing. But it's important to me that you have done the work to heal
Yeah.
yourself. That's one of the things I ask is, have you gone to counseling? It's so
Hmm.
important to me that you have. I love men who've gone to therapy and they know
Yeah.
themselves and they're working on themselves actively. That's huge for me because I can't be depleted anymore. I was depleted
Yeah.
in that relationship where the guy was a taker. He would take my last from me and go on by his life. I can't do it no more. And I knew that I did not want to attract anybody like that again.
Yeah.
Um, and so it was important for me. I can recognize that you need healing and you could be actively working on your healing, but you're not looking for me to heal you.
Yeah.
That's the difference is you're working on it for yourself. You're not looking for me to heal you because who heals me? I'll do
Right.
all this healing of you and who heals me? So it's not reciprocal. It's unbalanced. So I need us both to be working on ourselves actively. So one of the things with upper echelon, I have a therapist on deck. I have a
Hmm.
sex therapist on deck. That is
Hmm.
so important. Listen, we can't overlook how important sexual compatibility is in
Yeah.
relationships because so many times it's swept under the rug
Hmm.
and people just think, oh, I just love him, we'll be fine. Y'all get together.
Mm-mm.
You don't have want to do it. You want to do it a couple times a year. He want to do it every day. Y'all sexually incompatible. It's miserable. He miserable over there. He in a sexless marriage. That happens every day, Belle. Every day. Women get these men, and I'm gonna be honest, it's a lot of times it's women and they don't want to put out. Then you don't want him to cheat on you, but then you ain't doing nothing. It's like, what are we doing here, ma'am? Um, so it's important. It's important to it's important to understand what it is that you're interested in and finding someone who is compatible to you
Yeah.
in that way, whatever that is.
Mhm.
Um, and also deal with your sexual trauma. So many people
Mhm.
have 3 out of 4 women have been sexually abused, molested, whatever. Deal with that trauma before you get into this relationship because you can't expect him to just be all right. It's a need. It's a healthy need. It's a problem that you don't want it. Let's address that.
Yeah.
Um, So that's the thing that we have to work on, I think, as women, and our body image. Because if you don't like what you see when you take your clothes off, how can you expect him to like it? I
Hmm.
mean, you need to turn yourself on. If you
Yeah.
don't turn yourself on, you ain't turning him on, right?
Yeah.
So we need to be confident and comfortable in our own skin, like what we see when we look in the mirror, work on our stuff, work on our trauma, whatever that
Yeah.
is, mama issues, daddy issues, that plays out in the relationship. So
Yeah.
I have a sex therapist, I have a regular therapist, I have an astrologer, I do dating coaching, I do boudoir photo shoots because I like for you to tap into your sexy and be able to present that to your man, be able to say,
Hmm.
this is my sexy, here it is. I don't need you to go find it. I'm presenting it to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do all this work to make sure that my clients are prepared. But this is stuff that people can ask on a date, like on a first
Hmm.
date. You could just say, "Have you had therapy? You know what trauma have you experienced that you have addressed in your adulthood? Because we all have some level of trauma from
Yeah.
childhood to adulthood. Um, how important is sexual compatibility to you?
Hmm.
What are you into sexually? Are you an initiator? Do you wait for other people to initiate? Because I matched a couple before I had a sex therapist on board. I matched a couple. Come to find out, neither one of them like to initiate sex. So they're both just laying there. You gonna do it? You gonna do it? And nobody getting started. So now I have to assess that I'm matching an initiator with a receiver, or making sure that they're
Yeah.
compatible. Because if not, y'all both gonna just be sitting there looking. So ask those kinds of questions. And me
Hmm.
personally, I'm into astrology, so I like to know what a person's, astrological sign is, what their Venus sign, because your Venus sign tells how you are in relationships. So I like to understand
Mm.
that. Like I'm a Capricorn sun, but I'm a Venus in Scorpio. So that means
Hmm.
in a relationship, I'm a Scorpio. And when we get in the bedroom, I'm a Scorpio. That's
Hmm.
important because all of a sudden the Capricorn gonna leave and you're gonna be like, wait, what's happening? So it's important to understand that in
Yeah.
those dynamics, because that means I'm also gonna be possessive. I'm also gonna be very passionate, right? Very jealous. That's gonna come out in the relationship. So
Hmm.
it's important to know those things about your partner, about yourself, so that you can make sure y'all are gonna be a good fit. So those are all the things that I do in upper echelon. But these are things that people can do. They can ask these kinds of questions for themselves as well.
Men have sexual trauma as well.
Absolutely.
And I'm finding that um as I'm out in these dating streets meeting people, they don't talk about it, which I understand because of the stigma attached to it. But a lot of men struggle with porn addictions,
Yes.
and um, we don't talk about that enough. Right? We don't talk about
Yep.
it enough. It definitely impacts the way they view women. It impacts the way a lot of them view fidelity within a relationship. Never satisfied, always got to have the next, because they have this porn addiction. And so that's another conversation that needs to be had. Like, are you watching? How often? Some men can't
Yeah.
even perform because they self-pleasure themselves all the time. You know what I'm saying? And that's a real thing. And I know several women that I know several women who've encountered that in relationships because he's been doing that so often he can't perform. So everybody's got to be doing their work.
We all have
That's
to do
not
our
something
work.
that's going to automatically go away because you're in a
No,
relationship or you're now married, you
no.
know.
And you need to address these things. You need to know, is it functional? This is the question I ask up front, like before we even, because it's important to me, because sexual compatibility is so important to me. I want to know, is it functional? Are you on any type of pills? Do you have high blood pressure, diabetes, anything that can prevent you from having a healthy sexual life? Because
Mhm.
that's important to me. I'm gonna tell you right now. Don't even apply if you got problems in that area.
Mhm.
And I'm just gonna be honest, because I'm not one of them. It's gonna be a
Mhm.
problem, you know.
Mhm.
But also, like you said, if there is trauma, like if you
Mhm.
were abused, if you were raped as a little boy, because men don't always identify that they were molested. When it was a grown
Yeah.
woman, your first time, that's molestation, that's sexual
Mhm.
assault. So addressing that, because that can also turn into different kinks and things that they might have,
Mhm.
addictions and fetishes, and also a lot of my clients, especially I will say, um, very, very successful, financially successful clients are into all kinds of fetishes and all
Mhm.
kinds of things you never heard of, things that you would be like, oh my goodness. They're into all kinds of things. And so I have to be knowledgeable about the kinks and about the fetishes, because if they come to me and they want it, I have to go find it. So it's
Yeah.
something that you need to be honest about if that's something you're into. If you're into one of these things, like did you know there's some men like to be beaten. They like
Yeah.
to, and they like to be taken advantage of financially. Some men, they have a fetish of beat me and ask me for money. That's what they want, and I have to
Really?
find women who are willing to. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing, especially when men have a lot of money. They tend to want to be beaten, and they want to be degraded, and they want you to ask them for money, and they want to give it to you. It's a whole thing.
Mm.
Yes.
I'm not mad at the give them money part. I'm
Yes, I don't know that I
not
would
mad at
do.
that part, but some of the other stuff, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
Consenting adults, whatever.
yeah.
What's your opinion on online dating? Because
Online
my
dating.
opinion has changed.
I love online dating. I think
Mhm.
most couples today do meet online. So I am not one to diss online dating. I think most women don't know how to date online.
Mm,
They don't have the right pictures. They have a whole bunch of I don't want this, don't talk to me if you this a lot of negativity, and
mhm,
that they don't know how to flirt back. When somebody
mhm,
reaches out to them, how to flirt back. Of course, it does require you to sift through some riffraff, because there's a lot of riffraff online, a lot of
mhm,
trash, right? It
mhm,
requires you to sift through that. But most of the time, we don't have pictures that if we just got headshots and it's not sexy, it's nothing that turns people on. And I think we need coaching on how to present ourselves well. I will
mhm.
say for me personally, I have success online dating, obviously, because this is what I do. So I have success with it. But most couples meet online. So it is a thing that's
Mhm.
not going to go away. It is how people are meeting people most of the time.
Yeah. I'm not a fan. I once was, but there's a lot of sickness out there, and there are a lot of scammers. There are a lot of married men. There are a lot of men who are separated. There are a lot of men who just lies upon lies upon lies. Just predators, sex addicted. I mean, it's just a lot. So for me, I'm throwing in the towel with that because it's like this.
Really?
Yeah, it's just no. To each his own, but I just have found, um, it's like the same person over and over and over again, and yeah, I rather do it the conventional way at this point, but
Yeah.
to those who have luck with it and met their boo or whatever, kudos to you, but I just see a lot of, and maybe it's because 'cause I'm looking now through my spiritual eyes, I don't know, but it's just a lot of sexual energy, a lot of deceit, a lot of addictions, and there's this one guy, um 'cause I search, I do you should always do your due diligence and not believe what people tell you up front. So I did a search. He has a whole wife, kids, family, and just presenting himself online as if he's single, right? And he's not the only one. And then you get the liar, the one who's had like 50 ex-wives who shares they only been married once, and you find out as you're talking, oh, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. Like, how many wives, ex-wives do you have? Kind of thing. So it's just like it's a wrap for me there. But I
Well, you might
am,
be a candidate for a matchmaker then. I mean, because then that's like it's what.
yeah, that seems to be a little makes more sense to me at this
Yeah,
particular
yeah,
point. But
and
the online
obviously I'm a
thing,
matchmaker, so I'm not against that, right? I'm not
yeah,
gonna be against it. I just
yeah,
know that everybody can't afford matchmaking, and so
right.
that's why I say online dating is a viable option for most people. For most people, but
Hmm.
there I have my clients are like, "Girl, I'm in politics. I can't be online," or "I'm a celebrity. I can't be on a dating app." And I understand that.
Right.
And if you have a need for privacy and
Hmm.
discretion, then you probably don't want to do a dating app.
Yeah. It's interesting. And not to mention, the women that are getting hurt and unalived, So it's just, I think it's my cue to exit. What do you think the biggest barrier is between men and women? Like what do you think we're missing? Because there's a lot of, you can go into any podcast and it's going to be a bash session, and so I'm clear. I believe in love. I believe in black men. I believe in black women. I believe in black relationships. I believe in family. I believe we can absolutely get it right if we continue to have the conversations, right? So what do you think we're missing? What are you seeing as your clients are coming in that's telling you, okay, what is the connection that we're missing here? Why are we not getting it right?
And I think that social media is not a real place, because on social
Mhm.
media there's a lot of gender wars and we
Mhm.
don't like each other. And in social media world, average men are not chosen, when the truth is average men are married every day, right?
Mhm.
In social media world, if you don't have a BBL, you don't have a chance of getting a man, right? But we see women with no butts at all every day get married, having
Mhm.
kids. So I think it's just not a real place. And I think
Mhm.
if it can become toxic if we sit and watch these podcasts and we're on social media. It's like we hate each other. And honestly, black love is live and well,
Yeah.
and we are loving on each other every day. I love my black man, he loved me as a black woman. You know what I mean? Like, it's alive and well. And I think if we if we feed into that toxicity, it's a
Mhm.
negative spiral. We
Mhm.
feed into that toxicity, we will not find our way back to loving each other. And next thing you know, it's like, well, I might as well. I saw a man who said that to me on my post. He said, this is what he told me. He said, I'm involuntarily celibate because women don't want me. So that makes me seek out same sex relationships. Yeah. And like, if that's what you want, if you want peen, it ain't got nothing to do with a woman and what a woman said. If you want some peen, you want some peen.
I
And let's,
have never heard that.
he commented on my page and said, y'all don't want us, and that's what makes us seek out no, 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 no. You sought out same sex situations because that's what you wanted.
Mhm.
Period. Hard stop. It had nothing to do with because women didn't want you. Let's not go there. So yeah, I think that it can become a toxic spiral if we stay there. If you get
Mhm.
out into the real world, you
Yeah.
go to events, you will see that men still love us
Yeah.
so much, and women, we still love them so
Yeah.
much. It's real. I see it with my own eyes. I
Yeah.
was walking in the airport today, and I got hit on by 5 or 6 men. They love us, okay,
Mhm.
and I love them too. I love them back.
Mhm.
So I think that, like I said, social media is not a real place, and if we believe that and we get sucked into that, we will think that our men don't want us, and it's not
Yeah.
true. And we love them. It's not
We
true that
do.
we don't.
There is nothing like a black man. I just tell
Nothing.
you. There
Nothing.
is nothing they could do to make me jump off that ship.
Nothing. Girl,
They
nothing.
are beautiful. They are so beautiful. And when they have a beautiful heart, oh my
Girl.
God, there's just nothing like it. So the purpose of this show was, to talk about how to attract, the love that you want, the love you deserve, rather. Because sometimes what we want is actually lower than it's not as high as what we should be
What you
expecting. So
deserve.
it's what you
Yes.
deserve and how to keep it once you get it. And so neither of us have a crystal ball. We don't have a magic wand. There's not enough Sierra prayers we can tell you to pray to, make him show up. But there are things that we can do as women and as men, if men are watching, to attract that kind of love into your life. So I would say the first thing is because you can't control anybody else. The only person in the equation that you can control is you. And so I would say self-love is the first thing, is to work on really loving yourself. And I know people saying, I love me, but they really don't. And it's to me, it's like you have to have radical acceptance of who you are, where you are, what you are, be brutally honest with yourself, and then love all of that, the curves, the edges, the ups, the downs, the ebbs, the flows, the mistakes, the all those things. And once you love yourself, like really, really love yourself, it is very hard to attach yourself. It is very hard to attach yourself to someone who doesn't love you too, right?
Absolutely.
I think when we
Absolutely.
don't know who we are, you get hitched up with somebody who doesn't love you, who doesn't know who you are, and you just accept anything because you don't really love yourself. And so I think the very first thing we can do is to love ourselves truthfully. Give yourself all the love maybe that your mom and your dad didn't give you, maybe that your ex-husband or your ex-wife didn't give you. Turn all that internally and pour into yourself and really love yourself. What do you think about that?
I think I agree with what you just said, but I also think we need to. You can manifest your mate, and this is
Mhm,
something I believe wholeheartedly is in manifesting your mate.
mhm,
And so blocking out all negative. Anytime you hear this,
mhm.
men are this, they ain't that. You can't entertain that. That's not the
Right.
vibration you need to be on. You have to vibrate higher, and you
Yeah.
have to believe that you deserve this love that you seek. You
Yeah.
deserve it. Not just that it's out there somewhere. Maybe you'll never get it. No,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have it because I deserve it. And I believe there are things that you can do to manifest that person, to attract that person to you
Mhm,
spiritually and energetically.
mhm,
Um, a lot of things that you can do is in your subconscious too, because
mhm,
sometimes your conscious mind will outthink you and will
mhm,
say logic and reasoning and negative self-talk and all that's in your conscious mind, but your subconscious is your receiving part of your body. And so if you can just like I do meditations at
mhm,
night to feed my subconscious with beautiful things that I just that I deserve love, that I deserve good things, I deserve blessings. Feed
mhm,
your subconscious like beautiful messages like that and
mhm.
vibrate higher, vibrate on a level where it is inevitable, it's gonna happen, it's gotta come to you because you believe it so much. i
Yeah.
also I also employ tactics like visualization, speaking things
Mhm,
into existence. So I might be in the car by myself and I might have a whole conversation with myself about me and my husband and what we're doing and the businesses we're starting and how much he loves me and how much I love him, and we're traveling here and we're traveling there and our kids are doing this, and it's a whole this don't even exist yet. I'm speaking it into existence. I'm
mhm,
manifesting it, and you speak it until you see it. You just keep
mhm,
speaking it until you see it, until you believe it. So you can speak it into existence. You can visualize it. Some people
mhm,
use vision boards, but you can
mhm,
also just imagine life, like a day in the life. Okay, today I'm waking up. Husband, do you want something to eat? I'm gonna fix some pancakes. You want some coffee? Oh, you want some tea? Okay, I'll make you some tea. And you start
mhm,
visualizing your day with this man. What are y'all gonna
mhm,
do today? We're gonna go to the mall. No, let's. The kids got this. Let's go to the park. Let's go play with the kids. And you imagine life with this person. You visualize life with this person. You're speaking it into existence. You're
mhm,
believing it. You're vibrating higher. You're putting it in your subconscious. It has no choice but to come to pass
mhm.
because you're touching it on all these different levels. It has to happen. This is
Yeah.
how you bring it to yourself. This is how you attract it to yourself. It has to happen. When you speak it to your friends, girl, I'm manifesting my man. Girl, today I woke up, he gave me a massage this morning, girl. Girl, it was so nice. And we went out on the porch and sipped some tea. Like, start speaking it into existence,
Yeah.
imagining it, visualizing it, speaking it, do all the things. And you will have it, you will bring it from the unseen realm to the seen realm.
Mhm,
It will come here. And you will wake up and be like, oh, you here. I manifested
mhm.
you. You are just the way I manifested you to be. You can do that. That's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
That's what I teach my clients to do. They typically just want me to do it for them. But
How's that working out?
you just do it. You just do it, Shay. I'll pay you. You just do it. But you need to believe it too. You
Yeah.
need to believe it so I can bring them to you. You gotta do that work for yourself. But yes, it's
Mhm.
absolutely something you can do. You can manifest your mate.
Yeah. Your thought diet is so important. And so that's why for the life of me, I don't understand why there could be a woman who literally wants a husband who would be a fabulous wife, but she's ingesting, certain podcasts that talk about how black men don't like black women. Or, you're too old once you hit this age, or if you have children, you're low value, or blah blah blah. And I'm like, why would you constantly feed that to yourself? Because that is what's going to happen um in your life if you're constantly ingesting the negative self-talk. And the other thing I noticed that women do is, they'll think they deserve that type of love when they lose 20 pounds, when they get their degree, when they buy their house, when they start the business. We really need to start believing that we deserve it, like right now as we are. You don't have to be perfect.
Right
The
now.
right person is going to love you just
Yeah.
as you are in the state that you are in. If you need to lose
Yep.
30 pounds, he's going to love you anyway. And he's going to
Yep.
go walking with you, and he's going to
Yeah.
get you a chef, or he's going to help you eat the right foods.
Yeah.
But we have to stop this, oh, if I was lighter, if I was 10 pounds lighter, if I had this education, if I didn't have children, if I no, we deserve it, and there's a lot of noise out there telling us all the time that we don't deserve it. But you have to really get that in your spirit that yes, I deserve it, just like I am today, unfinished, still a work in progress. You still deserve that kind of love just right now as you are. And so, and then surround yourself with people who believe like you do.
Yep.
Like if you're around
So
four
important.
women who hate men, you'll be the fifth one.
It's so important. I mean,
Yeah.
you can accomplish more spiritually.
Hmm.
And I think that's to me, that's a part of being a feminine woman. And we talked about
Yeah.
the divine feminine, but divine feminine women are spiritual women. It
Hmm.
goes together. There's no separation in that. But we have lost the recipe. And the
Hmm.
recipe of being a divine feminine woman is you can get whatever you want in the spirit realm. And that's the truth. When you think
Hmm.
about now, that's something I feel like our grandmother's models. When you think about the matriarch of the family, she knew how to get a prayer through. She
Hmm.
knew how to tap into spirit and make something happen, right? And we lost that recipe. But that
Yeah.
to me is the role. That's my role as a woman, right?
Yeah.
Is to be able to intercede on behalf of my family, my
Hmm.
man, my
Hmm.
parents. Like that's my role as a woman. Not to say that a man can't. I'm not saying that that's not that men can't pray and men can't intercede, but my
Hmm.
connection spiritually, I I place that that's at the top of the
Yeah.
game. So that's more than how much I make. Because honestly,
Hmm.
that determines how much I make. That determines how successful I'm gonna be. That determines
Hmm.
everything about me starts spiritually.
Hmm.
Everything. And I think we lost the recipe, understanding how important that is.
Hmm.
But that is so huge. You can get anything you want: healing,
Hmm.
success, a husband, whatever it
Hmm.
is you want, babies, when you
Hmm.
tap into the spiritual.
We're so self-reliant now. We've become so self-reliant. It's me doing it. It's really not.
It's never
And
you.
I can tell you over this past year, my spiritual life has, oh my gosh, I have never been this at peace and this happy and this,
Mm.
I just see stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I prayed about that. I forgot I asked God for that. I forgot. And it's just coming, 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 coming. So I know it's only a matter of time, and I'm preparing for it. But you
That
are
part,
absolutely right,
Belle,
is my point.
preparing. That I'm glad you said preparing.
Yeah.
We need to prepare for this person because
Yeah.
you manifesting it, you speaking it. What are you
Yeah.
gonna do to prepare?
Hmm.
And this is a simple exercise. I'm glad you mentioned that because I forgot this part.
Yeah.
Your bed.
Hmm.
On the side of the bed where that man is gonna be, are there remote controls and cookies
Hmm.
and chips? You gotta have space for him. You gotta clear that out. Because this is where your husband gonna lay. That's why I had to get Ava out of my bed. Short story. But my daughter was 4, and I was like, "Oh, you got to get out of my bed because my
Yeah.
husband's staying right here. You got to
Yeah.
sleep in your own room." And I started preparing her sleep in her room because
Hmm.
I used to tell her my husband's gonna sleep there. That's where my husband's
Yeah.
gonna sleep. You can't sleep beside me. And that bed had to be cleared out to
Yeah.
prepare him. to
Mhm.
prepare for him to come in. And lo and behold, by first of this year, she started sleeping in her own bed. And
Yeah.
I had fed him like a couple months prior. And I'm like, look
Yeah.
at God. I
Yeah.
prepared for him. I prepared for him to be there. Exactly.
You have to prepare. You prepare for everything else, right? When you're
Yep.
gonna cook, you prepare the ingredients. When you're going out, you prepare your body and hair and makeup and clothes.
Yep.
You prepare for that man and everything else you're wanting in your life. And I just sometimes I just sit back, Shay, and I'm like, God is real. He is
Yep.
really, really real because I'm just seeing stuff.
Yes.
It's just falling
Yes.
from the sky, just falling
Yes.
from the sky
It's
for
so
me. I'm so
beautiful.
happy about it.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yes, 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 yes. The other thing, and I think we talked on that, is you want to actively be working on yourself, right? In the
Yes.
meantime, you should want to be
Yes.
working on yourself anyway. But like if that's therapy, if that's working out, if that's reading, if that's changing
Getting your
careers. You wanna be
facials, getting
working
your
on.
massages, take
Yeah,
care of you. Self care
yeah,
is important. And I
yes,
will say,
absolutely.
women who want these top tier, upper echelon type of men, they do appreciate head to toe taken care of.
Mhm,
I know I get compliments all the time.
mhm,
Oh, you always get your hair done, you always get your nails
mhm,
done, you always yes, 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 head to toe. You
mhm.
need to make sure you are taking care of yourself. And sometimes we as women, we let ourselves go,
Go, yeah. After a
especially when we
breakup
yes.
after a
Or
breakup, you look
stress,
at a
just
mess.
stress,
Yeah, mhm,
period. We take on
yeah,
all this stuff and we just start letting ourselves go. But you
mhm.
can't do that.
Right,
You are your most important resource. You are the most valuable player on your team.
yeah.
You can't afford to let yourself go. You all you got. You got to
You're
keep it
your
up.
brand. You are your
Yes.
brand. You're
Yes.
your brand ambassador. You are forward facing. You're facing the public.
Yes.
So what you show up as is what people see you as. So it's important that we keep ourselves together. And
Yes.
so, I can remember back years ago when I was married and that we hit a rough patch and I just kind of started falling apart. And then one day I was like, girl,
No, exactly. But I've
this
done
ship
it
is
too.
sinking, but
Yes.
you have got to get yourself together. And I
Yes.
did. And so
Yes.
I made that promise to myself to always keep myself, you know, working on the fitness part. It's a struggle, but I'm working on it. But just keeping
Yes.
everything else together. And so, that's important.
It is
Work on your
important.
communication skills, right? Because it's not just men that don't know how to communicate. A lot of
Oh
women
my
don't know how to
God.
communicate either.
Women, women especially, and we are so easily triggered. Everything triggers
Yeah.
us. If we about to pop off every 2 seconds, we about to pop off. That is not healthy, sis,
Mm-mm.
sir. That's not healthy. That you
Mm-mm.
have so many buttons that somebody could push one of these buttons and you popping off. You need to understand why that button is there, because it's not
Mhm.
other people's responsibility to tiptoe around your buttons. You
Right.
need to figure out why are these buttons here and work on removing them. You should not be so easily triggered. That is the
Right.
thing that I'm noticing. People are like, you say the wrong thing, they popping all the way off. And
Yeah.
it's like, fix that. You need to be
Mhm.
healed. Something's wrong. Something's wrong.
Mhm. And you need to be able to accept accountability. Accountability. Like some people are allergic, it seems, to being held accountable to anything. Like they break out in hives, start sweating and ghosting and doing all these weird things. I'm like, listen, you've got to be accountable to each other. And if that triggers you, that's an indication that there's more work that you need to do. And perhaps you're not healthy enough to be in a relationship right now. And that's okay. But don't, that will wear somebody out and they will leave you, if you
Absolutely.
can't accept accountability for your actions. And so,
Absolutely.
that's a two-way street. That's women, we're not always right. Sometimes our tone is off. Sometimes we
Yes.
we bring things up at the wrong time.
Yes.
Sometimes we're making mountains out of molehills. I don't know, but the right man is going to be patient with you. But you
Yes.
have to be able to do the work and accept accountability and say, baby, I said that wrong. I didn't say that in the right way. Please forgive me. And I'm going to work on not doing that ever again to you. And the right man will be like, okay, I'll work with
Well,
you kind
yeah.
of thing. But the
Yeah.
hair trigger tempers, mm-mm,
I had this
no.
conversation with my boyfriend the other day, and he was just like,
Mhm,
I've never seen you upset. He was like, I've never seen you upset. What do you look like when you're upset? And I
Mhm.
was like, I try not to be upset. I try to communicate. No,
Yeah.
seriously, like, hey, I didn't like that tone or that hurt my feelings. I try to nip it in the bud before it gets
Mhm.
to that point where I'm just like out of control. Very rarely do I get there.
Mhm.
And he was just like, you just always so cool and so chill. And honestly, that speaks to the work that I do on
Mhm.
myself energetically,
Mhm.
healing, talking to spirit, meditation. That speaks to that. Because if you stay in that kind of meditative state, at all times, I'm always
Mhm.
going within, talking to spirit about certain things. How can you be flying off the handle all the time?
Right.
Those two things don't go together. I will
No.
tell you that. You can't be spiritually and huffing puffing mad all the time. It don't go
Mhm.
together. It just don't.
Yeah, when I get upset, I don't huff and puff so much. Take a step back and I'm like, okay, why am I upset? Is this me or is this him? And if it's me, I need to address that with me. And sometimes it is a trigger, but I definitely don't fly off the handle. Like that's not my thing at all in relationships. But I have experienced others who do, and I'm
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, this is not gonna work for me because you can't be popping off at me every time you're upset. It's just not gonna
you
work. So
can't. That's not
yeah,
okay.
yeah, and being vulnerable, like there's no getting around being vulnerable with the right person. You have to be vulnerable. I'm not saying being vulnerable with everybody because everybody's not safe. But
Everybody's not
when
worthy
someone
of your
has proven,
vulnerability. Yes,
yeah, when someone has proven to be a safe space, a safe place, a soft place for you to land, you've got to open up and be vulnerable. That's the only way you're going to get closer. And
I
so,
so agree.
yeah, and you're both crip walking around the issue, but you've got to both put your armor down at some point and let each other see, the vulnerable side of you. That's the only way I see it working. Did you have anything? Be kind, be a kind person, be consistent, be a man and woman of your word. Um, can you think of anything else? Any
Um,
traits?
I think also, communication. Communication is key. A
Yeah.
lot of times, women, especially, we hold things in and we don't communicate. And then
Hmm.
it builds up. The next thing you know, you mad, but you mad about stuff from 2, 3 months ago because you ain't never
Yeah.
said that you were upset about it when it happened. So
Yeah.
just open communication, I think it's good to, and it's okay to say, I didn't like when you said that. Like,
Yeah.
you made a joke about this, but I was serious about that and that hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
It's okay to just share how you feel. And I don't know that you can be overly sensitive. I think I
Mm.
grew up hearing that I was overly sensitive. I don't
Yeah.
use that. If it hurt my feelings, I'm gonna tell you it hurt my feelings. If I don't like that tone, I'm gonna tell you I don't like that
Yeah.
tone. If that's gonna help us so that you know how to communicate to me and I
Mhm.
know how to communicate to you, that helps us. Get it out there, say it. I think sometimes we're so worried about, well, is he gonna think I'm needy because I
Mhm.
want to see him every day? If you want to see him every day, tell him. Oh, this is one thing I will say that women we can do a better job at, and I'm gonna say women, we stay in the house and we
Mm.
expect these men to come find us in our house.
Mhm.
How? I
Mhm.
don't know, because you won't date the UPS man or the FedEx man or postal worker. So how you gonna find them in your house? I don't know, but
Yeah.
we don't go outside. We got to get
Yeah.
cute. We got to start going out to these different events and mixing and mingling. And when you get there, open your mouth. It's not enough
Mhm.
just to be cute, set it up against the wall. Walk up to a man, pay him a compliment. You smell
Mhm.
good. You looking good.
Mhm.
I like that suit. I like those
And
shoes.
smile, and smile.
Smile. A smile goes a long way, sis. It goes a long
Yes.
way. It lets them know that you're open and you're
Mhm.
receptive and you're
Mhm.
willing to start a conversation and that you're open to it. I mean, yes, we need to get outside more because we're staying up in the house.
And not with, 10 of your girlfriends when you go out.
That
Go by
that part.
yourself, go with one
Yes.
girlfriend, but when it's a pack of you,
It's intimidating. Yeah.
it's not
I
good.
I roll solo all the time.
Yeah,
I'm always by
me
myself.
too.
It's the
Me too.
best way. It's the best way. Go by yourself. You can tell your
And
girlfriend
pay
about
attention. Yeah, and pay attention because I found that when I'm out and about like I would be laser focused on what it is I'm out to do, and I wouldn't be paying attention to cues and signals and eyes and all this stuff that was happening around me. And so now I'm much more intentional about eye contact and pausing to see what's happening. And I'm like, okay, I missed a lot before I wasn't paying attention. But men are like giving signals left and right. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And so if we're not, you have to stop and pay attention because they
Yep.
are, a lot of them are just waiting for an opening, waiting for you to, look their way or signal. And, if you're so laser focused on what it is you're there to buy a bag or you're there to get gas and you're not paying attention to the men around you, you miss opportunities. And so I would say
Absolutely.
pay attention. Yeah. The other thing I would say in relationships, when you're trying to keep it, is don't keep score. Like I've experienced people that keep score, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, isn't that exhausting? Like it,
It is. It
it,
is.
the keeping score thing to me is childish.
Well, I
It,
mean, so like I told you, I was with the taker for a long time,
mm-hmm,
and but I'm a giver, Belle, and I
mm-hmm.
need to
Me
be able
too.
to give in this relationship with because sometimes it's like, well, I gave so much in this relationship, this last one, so I'm not gonna give in this one. But that's who I
Hmm.
am. I'm a giver.
Yeah.
So I needed to be in a safe place where I could
Hmm.
give
Hmm.
without being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
That's really the key.
Yeah.
And so it's reciprocal. It's
Hmm.
all about reciprocity. I give, you give. I give, and we not tick the tat. We're not keeping
Hmm.
score, but we're both able to be who we truly are without being
Hmm.
taken advantage of. That's the
Yeah.
key.
Yeah. Definitely pay attention to reciprocity because some people will just take and take and take and take and take and take until you are exhausted. Your cup is completely empty and they never have any intentions of
Nope,
pouring back into you.
none.
And then when you're
Nope,
sucked dry of everything, they just move on to the next person, and tap into their resources. And they keep doing it. Like that person is never going to get what they
no,
uh, want ultimately. They'll never have the kind of relationship that we're all aspiring to have because they're takers. But just steward your resources, and if you notice, when you notice things like that,
cut your losses. Get out
no hard
immediately.
feelings, just move
Get
on.
out immediately.
Yeah, just
If
move
I
on.
had one piece of advice, it would be when I knew that the person would meant me no good, I should have
Mhm,
left immediately. I stayed way
mhm,
too long. I regret
yeah,
staying way too long in relationships when I knew they were no longer serving me. Nina Simone said you got to know when to get up from the table when love is
mhm,
no longer present. And I did not. I stayed there, like you said, trying to ride it out, trying to be a ride or die. Well, maybe
yeah,
he'll change, or maybe I just love him some more. He'll come around. No, ma'am. When you see that that person is not meaning you any good, not loving you the way that you loving him, it's not reciprocal. It's just taking. Get up and go immediately. The sooner you leave, the sooner you can receive what you're supposed to get.
exactly. And the other thing I think we need to get really clear about is what is a good man and what is a good woman. Because Mr. Good on paper doesn't mean that he's a good man. Miss
It
Good
does
on
not.
paper doesn't
Yep.
mean that she's a good woman. Because somebody's educated, they're fit, they have a good credit score, they have a nice job, they're in a particular organization or organizations, they go to church. That doesn't mean they're a good person.
It does not.
It doesn't mean do they have character? Like what is their
Yep.
character saying? And so I think we get caught up in the externals and we think, oh, but he's a good man. He works. He works at the post office. So what? Does he call you when he says he's going to call you? Does he pick you up when he
Yep.
says he's going to pick you up? Does he
Yep.
lie to you? Is he cheating on you? Is he verbally and emotionally abusive to you? So we got to move past the good on paper and assess the character of the person that we're lying next to, right? And so that's how you avoid getting hurt. That's how you avoid becoming bitter and jaded. That's how you get so far removed from what it is you really set out to do when you first got into that relationship. So we need to pay better attention, and when people show us who they are, listen.
Believe them. Believe them the first
That's
time.
who they are. And we'll try to rewrite the narrative. Oh, his mom didn't love him. Oh, this happened in his childhood. Oh, his ex did this to him or whatever. And that all of that may be true, but none of that is your work to do. That is
Oh,
his or her work to do. And you will
yeah,
just find yourself completely used up, jaded, bitter when it ends, because it's gonna end, right? Because you'll
it's
eventually
gonna
get tired
end.
of that, you know. So we
Yeah,
just
I
have
think.
to.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that the first thing is believing that you deserve to be loved.
Mhm,
Because if you believe that, then when you get this person, you say, "Is he loving me?" Like, because remember, I said the imagining and the visioning.
mhm,
Does this line up with the vision that you had? And if it
mhm.
doesn't, that ain't it. That ain't
Yeah.
it. That is not
He's
it.
not the one. He's not the
Mm-mm.
one, sis. If he's not treating you right, that's not your person. If he's lying to you, he's not your person. If he's making you feel bad, if he's abusing you, he's not your person.
Oh,
Same thing for men. If she's disrespecting you and she's, unappreciative and disrespectful, she's not your person,
oh.
and we just hold on for dear life. I don't know why. We
Because we
hold on
want
for
to,
dear
we
life,
all want to be loved, and
hoping and wishing.
sometimes we're holding on because, like we talked about, childhood traumas and not
Yeah,
getting the love that you wanted as a child, and so
yeah.
you latching on to this little piece of love, that little flicker of love, believing that this is it, and it's not. But when you do love yourself, when you taking yourself on dates and you start treating yourself well, then
Mhm,
it's good to have this. Now you can say, if this person cannot love me as well as I love myself, if they can't
mhm.
take care of me as well as I take care of myself, then I can do it by myself,
Yeah.
right? If you taking yourself out and you taking yourself to the movies and to restaurants and on trips, and this person can't
Mhm,
come along and do the same, or
mhm,
you spend quality time with yourself and you sit down and watch a movie and they can't do the same, give you that same kind of peace, then you
mhm,
know you would rather be by yourself than be
mhm,
with that person. It's just not worth it. And I say that, and as a matchmaker who believes in love, who believes that you
mhm,
deserve love, but you have to believe that you deserve it, so that you don't put up with less than you deserve. At the end of the
mhm.
day, you got to have a standard, and the standard is not superficial things. The standard is loving you, character, integrity. Is he saying the things that he say he gonna do what he gonna do, and can you count on it?
Yeah,
That's important to you. Can you count on him?
yeah,
Is he dependable? That's what you got to have.
yeah.
And anything less than that, we don't need that person in our lives.
And then I think too, sometimes we invest so much, we're thinking, oh, somebody else is going to reap the benefits of all this work that I put into this person. No, they're not, because who that person is with you is who they're going to be with the next person. And so we have got to stop thinking uh, a healthy person may do that, but the people who treat you like that, they're not healthy. And so if he's unhealthy with you, he's going to be unhealthy with her. If she's unhealthy with you, she's going to be unhealthy with him. And so we've just got to stop hanging on to these dead end situations thinking that there's nothing better. There's no one better. There's absolutely someone out there who's better suited for you. Yes, I know you may have wanted Willie. I know you may have wanted Simone. I know you gave and you gave and you gave till you couldn't give anymore, but that's not your person, and that's okay. It happens to the best of us. And so I would just say, please get it in your spirit that you deserve all the love that you gave the wrong person. You deserve all that love to return to you a hundredfold. And so, do you have any closing words? What's next for you? Do Are we going to see you anytime soon? Anywhere on social media doing things?
Well, yeah, I definitely, if folks are not following me on social media, please do so at Shae,
Mhm.
Matchmaker, Shae Primus Matchmaker. Shae Primus Matchmaker is my handle on Instagram, and I'm
Mhm.
always posting things that I'm doing with my clients. I can never post them; they don't like to be posted, but I'm
Yeah.
always posting where I'm going, what I'm doing. But yeah, stay tuned because you might see me back on TV in a few months. So stay tuned on
Awesome.
that. That's all I can share.
What is
Um,
Upper Echelon Matchmaking's website?
upper echelon matchmaking.com.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. So that's where
Yeah,
we can
I put a
find you
show
if
on
we
my
want to
LinkedIn. And if you're
secure your
interested in,
services.
yes, if you're interested in my services, I am accepting new clients. I have dating coaching packages,
Mhm.
matchmaking packages as well. But yeah, and I also do something called Shoot Your Shot, where I can come to wherever you are and teach you how to
Mhm.
flirt, how to shoot your shot. A lot of
Mm.
women say, I don't know how to shoot my shot. I don't know how to flirt. I don't know what to say. I can help you with that. Because that's really where, I mean, if you want to meet somebody organically, man, I can go sit at any bar after work and get about 5 or 6 dudes every day. Like this is just something I do, and I like to teach people how to do it because
Yeah.
that's a skill set that you can always pull on.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, my name is Belle, and this is Conversations with Belle, where we discuss real life issues in a meaningful way. I look forward to talking to you guys real soon. Take care.